talking about the basic principles of decorating. Many of you have come to me and you need some help on just where to get started. So hopefully today's tips will help you in a starting point and building from there. Historically, structures have been designed based on tradition as well as the homeowner's lifestyle. With that in mind, a space shouldn't just look pretty. It needs to fit you. It needs to function for you. Most of us don't have the opportunity to build a home and build rooms specifically in ways we want to use them. Some of you do, but many are purchasing homes or moving into apartment spaces or condo spaces where the layout of the land, the floor plan, has already been developed and built, and you're trying to fit into that space. You're trying to make these spaces function for you when they were built for someone else. So that leads us to our first principle, which is function. One of the most basic rules of design is form follows function. It can't just look pretty, you've got to be able to use the space. So this is where you sit back and you analyze, what am I using this space for? Is the size and shape appropriate for what I want to use it for? Is the lighting appropriate for what I need it to do? Do my existing furnishings that I'm taking from this home to that home, do those existing furnishings work for the space that I'm trying to put together? Say you're moving from a larger, more colonial home into a lake house. You've got a little less square footage on the lake. You want this more casual feel. Does that colonial Queen Anne legs sofa still fit at the lake house? Probably not. You probably want to do something a little more casual. In these cases, you might need to consider bringing in some new and working with some of your other pieces that could work in the space. Think about your layout. When you're looking at that space, say it's a bedroom, measure out the space and put it down on paper or use a great app. There's a lot of great apps out there for your phone that you can measure a space. It gives you the floor plan. You can drop furniture pieces in and play around with it that way. If you're more old school, go ahead, pull out the graph paper and start drawing that room out. Draw out your furniture pieces on separate piece of paper to scale. Cut them out so that you can manipulate them around on that piece of paper of your floor plan. This will save you so much. It will save your back. It will save your marriage because your husband or your significant other won't be carrying that bed or sofa around to 15 different locations before you're happy with it. This is a great way to lay things out to make sure what pieces you have fit with what you want the room to do. Say you've got that big giant bedroom and you're moving into the smaller bedroom. You had a king. Does that king still fit in this new space? Can you open all the doors? Can you pull out all the drawers and still walk around the room? Or is it a little too tight and we need to consider downsizing the bed size and purchasing something a little smaller? Let's talk about the second principle, and that is mood. Now this is a pretty big category, so buckle up and let's go for the ride. Mood is the way the space makes you feel. It's that feeling that's created in the space by color, by texture, by the accents in the space. There's a lot to think about in this one. So to create the mood, a good starting point is to have an inspiration piece. I have two different moods created side by side. We're gonna start with this one. My inspiration piece is this nice, beautiful throw. It has lots of kind of softer beachy colors, I would say, with the salmons and the creams and that lime green some grays threaded in. I'm going to use this as my inspiration piece to build from. This throw has great texture and it has an array of colors to pull from. So which colors to pull? That choice is yours. But my piece of advice is pick 3. We don't want to do all of them. That starts to be a little too much everywhere. So we want to pick 3. And the rule here is 70% of the space should be your base color, and then the rest be maybe background colors in fabrics or colors that are pulled from your rugs, your artwork, and then that accent color. In this, I'm pulling out the grays in the sofa, the creams in the pillow, and then my accent color, I want to be kind of this salmon-y color. So I'm using that as my accent in the florals as well as in the artwork. The artwork also captures a lot of the colors that are in the throw as well, capturing the blues, the greens, and that salmon. Because of the color palette on this one, I feel that it's more of an airy vibe. So I want to make sure that my pots for my botanicals stay kind of light, and my furnishings, I want those to be a little lighter as well, just to kind of lift things up. So say I'm moving from one home, I had very traditional, maybe oak or cherry pieces of furniture, and I need them to be on the lighter side, but I don't necessarily want to purchase everything new. You can use a great source of paint to refinish those pieces, those side tables maybe, or the cocktail table, so that they work with this new palette, with this new mood. On the flip side, my inspiration piece is this pillow. I really love the deep black with this golden tone and those hints of gray. So same sofa, completely different vibe. I want this to kind of feel cozy and kind of cool. So I've pulled the gray tones again in the sofa. Those work well together. We have this gorgeous throw that pulls those golden tones. And then our accent pieces have those moody blacks and golds in different ways. Our nice deep black frame with the tones coming out in the painting. My point in doing these two contrasting looks is that color determines the mood of the space, not just the items that you put in it, but color is a big determining factor of mood. Say you've got some bright, vibrant colors that make you feel energized, or you walk into a room where everything is just soft and you have these blues and greens going on and you just feel calm and peaceful, like you're at a spa. There's reasons for this. It's all in color theory. So we're going to talk about warm tones. Warm tones are your reds, your yellows, your oranges. Think about the sun. They give energy. Moving from those energy colors, the warm colors, we're going to shift to the cool colors. Cool colors pull in the greens, the blues, the purples. These give a sense of calmness, a sense of peace. Let's talk about neutrals. Neutrals are the colors that create a calmness, but are also timeless. These are your whites, your grays, your earthy tones. Let's talk about gray for a little bit, because gray can go two ways. Gray can be warm or it can be cool. Warm tones of gray are going to pull in the browns, so it's more of your taupey looking colors. And your cool grays pull in those little hints of blue or even some greens. So that palette, those neutral palettes of your whites, your grays, your earthy colors, those are your timeless colors that you can select from If you're wanting your home to look more timeless, say you're decorating this space or this house to be resale ready, you probably want to stick to a neutral palette with your hard finishes like your flooring, your walls, your tile, and use your other surfaces like your furniture, your artwork, your pillows, those items as your accent pieces. And on the topic of accent piece, accent color. Accent color are those exclamation points. Think about exclamation points at the end of a sentence. These are that pop of color here and there sprinkled around the room, not in a big way, just here and there, lightly sprinkled around the room to say, hey, look over here. I'm interesting. So in this case, I chose that salmon-y, corally color to pull out from my throw and the artwork in that pop of color over here. So my eye goes from that color in the throw to the botanical to the artwork. It's sprinkled throughout the room. On the flip side of that, on this darker moody area, I decided to use that gold as my exclamation point in the room. So it pops out in the pillow, in the throw, in the pig, and in the gold tones of my clock. The last thing I want to talk about for mood is the vibe you want it to feel. Do you want the space to feel very casual and comfortable, or do you want the mood to be more formal and elegant? When you're making selections of your furnishings, the style of your furniture pieces, the style of the bedspread, those kinds of things help develop that mood. So say you're moving your bedroom, you've got the bed fits, it's great, you're putting your old comforter on and you're like, that's not exactly the mood that I want for this house. Maybe it's time to replace that. Say you're moving from that colonial home to that lake house, and that the legs of the chairs, that camelback sofa or the Chesterfield, it just doesn't fit the lake house. You need a sofa that they can just come and flop in. You need something more casual. Those pieces, those elements also create mood. The final principle that we're going to talk about is personality. This is my favorite element. So this is where you are adding your own personal stamp to a space. You're adding little sprinkles of you or the rest of the people who live in that home into spaces throughout the home. We're not talking about, oh, that's his room, we do all of his stuff over there, or that's my room, I do all of my stuff over here. Everybody lives in the same home. Yes, you can have your designated spaces, but the whole house should reflect you. Yes, you can have a space that's your sewing room and you've got all the things that make you happy of all things sewing. And he might have his man cave where he has all of his automobilia plastered everywhere. I wonder where I got that idea from. And that's cool for him. But the main spaces, the bedroom, the living room, the kitchen, these are areas where everybody goes in, so it should reflect everyone. So we're talking about putting your personal stamp, adding family photos. Yes, you can put your family photos out. We don't necessarily do the wall of family anymore, but sprinkling here and there pictures of you as a couple or you as the whole family, your parents or grandparents or your grandchildren, just here and there sprinkling those family photos around, because you know every time you look at them, they're gonna make you smile because you like those people, right? The personality pieces could be in a vase or a pillow or in artwork. This can be anything, a chair with some really funky fabric on it. Anything that catches your eye that is a little different in the space. And that brings me to maybe that personality is something whimsical. Maybe it's a really fun vase or a fun pot that is kind of silly, or a sculpture that makes you giggle a little, or that wild out there fabric on the pillows or on the accent chair. This is one you don't have to do, but it really is fun just to add a little bits of whimsy in the home. It might be the smallest little sculpture in an obscure place in the living room, but it's gonna end up catching someone's eye, and they're gonna giggle and they're gonna say, "Oh, look at that." So those little bits of whimsy end up becoming conversation pieces. Where did you find that? What is it about? What's the story behind it? So those little sprinkles of personality that you have around your home, they all should circle back around to fit the function of the room as well as the mood you're trying to create. So all three of these principles work together cohesively. Let's recap a little bit on what we learned today. So to begin planning a space, think about function. What do I want to use this space for? Will the items that I have fit? Take measurements of the space, take measurements of your items, and plan. Next, we want to think about mood. What kind of mood do you want to create in this space? Do you want the space to be serene and relaxing and peaceful, light and airy? Or do you want the space to be more rich and dark, cool, or even a little mysterious, sophisticated? Last but not least, you want to add your own personal stamp to the space. You want to add a little personality. That room should reflect who you are, who you personally are, who you are as a family. Don't be afraid to add little fun and funky things to this space that make you smile. Thank you for watching. If you like what you saw, make sure you give us a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button. Also remember to drop some comments below if you've got questions or if you have anything to add. We'd love to hear from you. See you next time.